Rocking and rolling. YouTube's going to be open to the public, just a live stream to do the pre-market, and then of course we'll end the YouTube stream and start another stream, hopefully by 9:25 this morning. We'll try to keep on track. So what's everybody looking at this morning? So there is a lot of buzz around FOMX. FOMX does have news, according to Benzinga. Positive top-line results for third phase 3 clinical trial that evaluated its particular drug for treating moderate to severe acne. So it looks like initially that popped off pretty hard, hit a high of 961, and we're kind of looking at a bit of a down channel, maybe a falling wedge. So the first thing we want to do is we want to look at the daily chart. Obviously I just drew those trend lines there, so this is going to look like a big green candle. It is not. The daily chart hasn't populated with the new candle yet, but as you guys can see, we're well above all the moving averages here. And since well, really going back to May, this thing has been trending above the 50, you know, in the waiting for news phase. So now we have the news out, and we're seeing the move take place. So what we want to do is we want to figure out our retracements, right? We always want to run fibs, because why wouldn't you? All right, so if you guys are not using Fibonacci, you got to ask yourselves why, because it's a useful tool. So there we go. That's pretty fairly accurate there. Lone, did I make you laugh for that? And here we go. So you guys will hear me say this pretty much every day. Good morning, Big Bear. That stocks will likely retrace after a long-term downtrend and then an uptrend. They'll at least retrace to their 50% level, which is 766, or roughly there, because I'm 2 pennies off in both directions. I'm not sure about the crashing and beeping noise. So, yep, maybe 765. There you go. So we have our fib levels over here on FOMX, and we'll be watching these for, you know, trend reversal here. We're pulling back, and we're starting to react around that 50%. Yeah. Sorry, guys. We're just going to have to sort of deal with it. It could be like my air conditioner in the background. There's always going to be some kind of noise. Beeping is probably my phone, so I can definitely turn that off. So that can get annoying. So I'll answer questions a little bit about noises and fibs after, but so we're watching 766 for a reversal. FOMX, we got our fib levels. We don't have a clear pattern right now. All we have is a pullback wave here, and we don't know how long that's going to continue. But we're going to watch the 1 and 5 minute charts for a good candlestick setup, and hopefully get a trade on this and take it back to the high of day. We also want to look at AMD, because we look at AMD every day. It's got a great ATR. AMD is hovering around that $30 range, or oscillating around that $30 range. We still would like to see AMD push to 3090. It hit 3060 in the after hours or pre-market yesterday. Actually, it looks like after hours, and you know, had some good movements, had this, you know, W pattern here, got trapped underneath this line and pretty much consolidated the rest of the day. So we'll be looking for you know, the first 2 hours of trading. AMD should offer some really good moves in either direction. So we'll be watching again the 1 and 5 minute charts on AMD. And so what else did I say I was going to cover? So I was going to cover Twitter. And Twitter, yesterday I missed this move, but the other traders in the room were watching this because I'd been talking about it for a few days. and I kind of spaced and missed this move right at the bell above 30.38. That's kind of what I was watching for, and I missed it. And had a couple of had a pullback flag, one more kind of wave, and then consolidated around 31. We've got decent range on this, so we could see a pullback to 30.38 on Twitter, and then maybe a touch and go up to that 31 level. You also have 31.60 that we're kind of watching. That's a longer term angular resistance, and ideally, morning Hawaii. Ideally, we'll see a 200 SMA tap in the near future, which is at about 32.21. So maybe 32.25, something like that. We want to capture that move intraday when it happens. So there's a good dollar or two move to be made. And then, of course, we have all these other fibs. Eventually, Twitter may turn into a decent swing trade if on the daily chart. Let me go back to the daily chart. Sorry for all the lines. Let me get rid of these lines because these ones are not relevant right now. So on the daily chart, ideally we'd want to get a 50% retracement, like I just said about FOMX. This would potentially turn into a good swing trade when we start to see momentum start to shift above, get back above that 200 SMA and make a lazy swing trade up to that $39 level. So that's that one. I also said I was going to cover in the pre-market ECYT, because ECYT is having another interesting day. So yesterday, big green engulfing daily candle. It was kind of the pre-market yesterday. This was pulling back heavy, and then it ran hard. It ran pretty hard right up until about 10 o'clock. And then, of course, you know, after the first hour of the market, give or take 10 minutes, you will see often trend reversals, and that's what you got on this. And then it kind of was a slow melt, slow grind all day. And, you know, closed the day respectively near highs. And so stocks that close at highs don't always, but sometimes have a tendency or a greater probability to move up the next day. And that's kind of what you're seeing on ECYT. ECYT is, you know, right now hovering around this 1987 fib. And we've got some levels right here, 2088, 2037, 50% retracements way down here. These are all stop and go levels. Right now it's in a nice channel, so if you connect, whoops, change my tool. If you guys go ahead and connect these peaks, you have 3 peaks right here forming a channel. So this is the established channel of support and resistance. This is angular momentum. This is what we'll look at for this to kind of trade inside of today, and maybe even get out of. And if we look at the daily candlestick setup, got that high around 2085. Once we start clearing 2085, there's some nice additional levels up here that we'll be watching that are very possible. And we might even do a longer term retracement on the weekly chart to really hone these in. I'll find that my super cycle fib will overlap the minor cycle sometimes and almost line up within a few pennies of my minor fibs. So let's talk about a couple of stocks that are gapping down. I think Snap is probably one we should cover. And looking at Snap weekly chart, that one doesn't look right. Okay, so I drew this a while ago. I actually haven't really paid much attention to Snap. So originally I was looking at this as resistance. It got above that, so that now we're kind of trading in this channel. You know, down channel, really massive falling wedge, and you know, Snap has, let's see, resistance at 1031. That's the 9 EMA. It really hasn't put in a bottom. It's just kind of trending lower and lower. You guys can see we're down around 928. So we said the 9 EMA was about 1031. So that's way up here. You could see it kind of like dojied off the 9 EMA, or came close to it yesterday on the daily. And I guess we could maybe look at, I mean, this really isn't putting in any type of bottom signal yet on the hourly. You know, you could see typically after a sell-off like this, there's some type of reversal. So we'll watch Snap intraday because it's got good volume. It's fairly liquid. It might be a good reversal play. So I have Snap on the list. I think I'll cover maybe, Ren as well. So I'll cover Ren as well because this one was really popular in the pre-market yesterday. I covered this on the pre-market stream and during the day, failed a couple of different patterns, and you know, now has really support around this, what's this, 190 level. So you got some candlestick, horizontal candlestick support around 190. A lot of support in here, but you also have fib support around 174. So it's in a decent range, right? Because it had that actual high a day kind of up around that 230s. Remember we saw it hit yesterday. Right after it broke out of this ascending triangle here, it hit kind of 230s and then pulled back. So there's a nice range on Ren. I know it's kind of bearish right now, but don't be surprised if Ren reverses. And so we'll kind of keep our eyes peeled on that stock as well. Let's see, covered ECYT. Fred, here was one with that really just was a massive falling wedge yesterday. Broke out of the falling wedge, consolidating right now around 250, or it was. We've got some prints down here below, so we might be hitting 236 on Fred. It was kind of just a pump on Walgreen News. It might pull all the way back to 206. So it looks like shorts are in control. Looking at the chat, I'm seeing a couple of symbols pulled out, or called up, so I'm going to pull them up as you guys bring them up. I got about 2 minutes left before I'm going to end the pre-market stream and then switch over to the private YouTube. So if you guys want to join us today in the trade room and on the live stream, head over to bullishbears.com. We got a 2-week trial. You guys can subscribe, check us out, see what we're all about. See if we're right for you as a new trader, intermediate trader, experienced trader. We have all types of traders with us, and you know, we're just a community built around helping each other and learning. And so NLST support around 42 cents. You know, you can see this thing was really a typical pump and dump. Hit the high of the fib around 107. Couldn't, you know, hit a high of 111, but couldn't print above that 107 fib. So that was a bearish signal for me, and that's where you see this downtrend kind of just stay in place. So we've got our fib lines. We're in a down channel. This thing could go all the way down to maybe 26 cents before it bounces. It might bounce a little bit here. It's getting a little bit of love at the 42 cent level. BHC, Bravo Hotel Charlie. BHC is on the gap scan this morning, and you could see it cross this horizontal resistance around 21 bucks. I'm not sure why I had this marked out. What's this, 21.90? So a big bounce off the 200 SMA on the daily chart. We can throw some fibs on here because I think this one could be a good mover. I'm not going to go to the wicks on this one because I can kind of see some established candlestick daily close resistance right about here, and we're seeing good support right about there. So I'm going to use this for kind of my fib levels today, so we'll keep an eye on that. You can kind of see it obeying it a little bit, getting a little crazy once it crosses that 50% level. And that's the pre-market stream. So I'm going to end the YouTube stream now. If you guys want to check us out, head over to our subscribe page, bullishbears.com. You guys can sign up right now and join us with our 2-week trial. And we'll see you on the other side. So thank you, YouTubers. If you guys are members and watching on YouTube, give me about 2 minutes and I'll have the private YouTube stream up. Thanks.